I had Robert Wensley on. He is the CEO and founder of InvestorLift, which is a company that's valued in the 9 figures in the real estate space. What InvestorLift does is merges buyers and wholesalers together. And this is something that I've always wondered why it didn't exist. Why is there not a marketplace where every wholesaler knows to put their deal and all of these cash buyers know to go look for deals? Well, he finally solved it with InvestorLift. And I'll tell you, it was something that I was so excited about, not only because it solves a huge problem in the industry, but because of the tech and the AI that they have behind it. The more I've gotten into crypto and softwares and technology with all my other companies, the more I've realized that there's so much to be made with having the right tech. And I believe InvestorLift is some of the best tech I've seen. In fact, I've invested my own money into the company. And I wanted Robert to come on and talk about just his journey. Not only is InvestorLift a big company now, but it wasn't just 2 years ago that he had negative $5,000 in his bank account before InvestorLift really got off the ground. So it's a super inspiring story to see how quickly your life can change from zero to not only just being a millionaire, but to 9-figure valuation on your company if you just take the right steps and you solve the right problem. So if you're in the real estate space, you're going to want to watch this one, and you are going to want to get InvestorLift if you're a wholesaler, because it is going to change the game for your assignment fees. So with all that being said, let's jump into the episode.
Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, we are actually in the Dominican Republic at the second largest house in the entire country. It's over 40,000 square feet. And I'm here at the InvestorLift Mastermind with none other than the founder and CEO, Robert Wensley. What's up, man?
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
We're gonna have
inviting
a great
me.
weekend here. Got all the top real estate investors in the country coming together.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, InvestorLift is a platform for buyers and sellers to connect. It's essentially a place where wholesalers can post their deals and essentially double their profits. At least that's what I've seen from my own deals.
Nearly. I've seen a lot of guys, nearly make twice as much per deal.
Yeah. So you've created this software and this platform. I think there's over 3.6 million buyers on it now.
Yeah, it's been going fast. We were at like 2.2 in December, and it just exploded over the last few months. Now we're at 3.6 and climbing every day. Every 30 seconds or so, someone joins.
And how many deals are being posted a month on the platform?
Probably about 2,500 a month, I'd say.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
So these are all wholesale deals, off-market deals. They're not just stuff on the MLS. And I think that's really cool because I've always wondered that. As a guy who came up for the last 10 years, why isn't there a single place people post these wholesale deals? And
Right.
nobody could ever crack
Yeah.
it. Until
So
you
many
guys.
people tried. Last time I checked, there's 22 other off-market deal sites.
Yeah.
And more pop up every single day. But creating an off-market marketplace, it sounds easy, but it's one of the hardest things possible.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. So, I'd heard about InvestorLift for probably a year ago.
Yeah.
And, I just started hearing about it's this cool thing, it's growing, it's definitely helping people out. And then I had a bunch of my students getting on it, and I heard great things.
Right.
And I know you had reached out to me a couple of times. You're like, Ryan, I want you to see the product, test it, use your team. And I was just like, I don't really know, dude. Because that's just kind of...
You probably get pitched stuff 10 times a day.
Yeah,
We're playing golf today, and people are pitching you on hey, will you sponsor this? Will you sponsor that? Give you $100K for this. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm always kind of I don't want to say standoffish, but I'm just dude, if it finally breaks through to me, it must be good.
Yeah, right.
Right? And then, I end up in the Dominican
Yeah.
with you. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing, and we'll get into the whole story about InvestorLift, but I'll say this early. I have already invested in you guys now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm interested in tech with all the things we're doing with, my Tykes NFT and the softwares we created for my company, Lunar Ecom, and the Wealthy Way. I'm all in on tech. And when I see your guys' tech, and I'm just envisioning what's going to happen here in the next 2 years,
Oh, yeah.
and I just am I don't see why anybody would not be on the platform in the next 2 years?
Yeah, it's funny. So Elon Musk has a famous quote that he said, I don't know, a year or so back. It's, if you're not racing to build AI and your competitors are, you're out of business. You just don't know it yet.
Right.
So like, that's why we're doing everything that we're doing right now. We're building these incredible data sets that never existed before. So we can race towards a future where you as a person don't need to sell your deals like manually, like, you know, like the way of doing it for years is so inefficient.
Yeah.
So inefficient. 12 months, 24 months from now, you'll literally have AI that just handles this before you.
Well, and I'll say this, and I don't know if I should be saying it, but to your point of AI, like the old way of wholesaling a deal was, you know, you build a buyer's list and, you know, when you get a deal, you email blast, you text blast, you call them up, and, you know, typically you'd have your top 5 or 10 buyers who buy from you, right?
Over and over and over again, you're leaving money on the table.
100%.
Selling to the same buyers.
And eventually, though, you start to realize that when you get these one-off buyers who really like that zip code or that style of home, they'll pay way more than everyone else.
Yeah, or like the other big segment too is the hedge funds. The hedge funds, they value a deal based on cap rate. They're in it for 10 years. So they're looking at like 10-year horizons.
They don't need a flip.
Completely different numbers.
Right.
Completely different way of analyzing and underwriting a deal than conventional flipper would be.
Yeah.
A lot of times, sometimes it's like they're paying close to market because we're looking at it like on a fixed timeline. They're looking at it on a 10-year timeline.
Yeah. No, and I noticed that too. Like, as a guy who came up buying from wholesalers as a flipper, you know, I bought the majority of my deals from wholesalers, and then I started to realize they were starting to find other buyers who were paying way more than me. And I couldn't hate on them. Like, initially I did. I'm like, dude, there's no meat on the bone.
Yeah.
But eventually you're like, yeah, I mean, like, their job isn't to make me money. Like, their job is to, like, make themselves money.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hate on it. And I've just noticed that trend over and over again of like, yep, the wholesalers just continue to find better and better buyers. And then when I see a thing like InvestorLift, I'm like, holy crap, like, yeah, I might still buy deals from wholesalers here or there, but the sophisticated wholesalers who are doing volume, they're all on InvestorLift.
All of them.
Who's are some guys right now?
Geez, we have almost everyone that's big. Like if you named anyone in America that's making more than $250,000 a month, we probably have them as users. We have, of course, yourself. We have Sean Terry, Carlos Reyes, and South Shakur from the All In Nation. We have Cody Sperber, Chris Jefferson, Tiffany Hines, Scott Morse.
A lot of these people have been on the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much like anyone that's been on your podcast that's big, that wholesales, or on Steve Trang's Real Estate Disruptors. That's
well, you
big.
forgot Steve. And
Of course,
Steve's actually
Steve
who introduced us.
Yeah,
Steve's like, Ryan, you should definitely talk to Rob. Like, you know, he's not just another guy.
Well, we acquired his company, and he was building OfferFast. Again, there's like so many apps out there where people have tried to build a marketplace, but it's so hard.
Right.
So Steve was trying it, but it was picking up, but just in the Phoenix market. Outside of Phoenix, it was, you know,
it's just so hard to get adoption. Yeah. Which is why I'm surprised you guys were able to do it so quick.
It was really tough. But I'm like, hey, Steve, you're working on this. I'm working on this. I need smart people to work with me. Why don't we just merge paths? So we acquired them in December, and now he's on our board of advisors, and it's been great. Yeah.
It's funny. So for everyone listening and watching, that's how I got here. Rob's like, dude, you know, this is the company. Like, you can invest if you want, and I also want to put you on the board of advisors and all this stuff, and really help us grow it on social media side and other stuff. And he's like,
congratulations, by the way, just finalized this today.
Yeah.
So congratulations,
Thank you.
Welcome to the board.
Yeah. So we ended up. He's like, can you come to Dominican in, you know, like 3 weeks? We're having our. This is what we call a board meeting. Yeah. You know, in this house.
We're doing style.
Yeah. And I think in the last couple of days, though, we have talked a lot about different things that can really increase the valuation and make it huge.
As I always tell people, like, people see the product right now, they're like, oh my God, this blows my mind. It's my dream product. I'm like, guys, you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
This is day one. We're literally at maybe like 5% of what the full product's gonna look like. And every day, we've got other engineers here, some of the top engineers in the world that we pulled from, like, all these top companies, some of the best guys on the planet. And every day we're releasing more and more and more. Like today, releases one out.
Well,
Tomorrow we have a huge release going out. It's always getting better.
I met your engineering team, and there's like 10 of them from Russia and Ukraine, like all together, just hanging out, and they're living here now, obviously with everything going on over there.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. But speaking of AI, we're talking about how if your company's not building tech and AI, you're pretty much dead before you know it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
They'll slowly start realizing it. It's not like they got their leg cut off. It's like they're slowly dripping blood, and they don't realize that they're bleeding out.
Yeah.
Because it's so slow. It appears slow, but if you look at it 2 years, like 2 years from now, the guys that aren't AI powered, most of them are going to be out of business. You're going to see, when we first started this, we were hypothesized that you could do $1 million a month wholesaling, and everyone thought we're crazy. We're like, $1 million a month? No, wholesaling is for the noobs.
Yeah.
The only way to make $1 million a month is flipping.
Yeah.
And we started, I think we're probably the first ones in the country to do it. And after we did that, then we hit 2 million plus a month with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
And with tiny teams, we're talking like half a dozen guys. We're hitting these insane numbers. And people see those and they're like, wow, like, how is that even possible? I'm like, because you haven't seen anything yet. We've created this new category of mega wholesalers. The next thing you're going to see over the next few years is going to be the super mega wholesalers. The first company in America to break $100 million a year in assignment fees. I think they're going to do it in the next 3, maybe maximum 5 years, probably in the next 3 years, and for sure they're going to be doing it with InvestorLift.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So 2 things you touched on that apply to me totally. So one was with the AI. You talked about how AI is going to be able to predict what buyers are going to buy what property, right? And you're just telling me, like, you're going to be able to spit out, like, hey, anytime you list, these are the top 10 buyers for it.
Yeah.
And you might have a list of 50,000, and it'll give you the top 10.
Yeah.
And those are the guys.
Those are the guys.
Because we know they just love that whatever. We don't even comprehend.
We even know. The AI just looks at all these data points and figures it out.
Yeah, we don't even know
We
why.
don't understand, but like we ran a free test just on the beta.
Yeah.
Just on the beta, we ran a couple tests. I remember the last test we ran was with Corey Gehrig, based out of Phoenix, also on the board of advisors. And we fed the algorithm all these millions of data points because we're tracking every interaction on the site. Every time someone clicks on a deal, they view it, they bounce, do they stay, how long do they stay, do they make an offer, do they submit an inquiry, do they request the address. So we're tracking all these data points and scoring 3.6 million buyers every second of every day, spinning off millions of data points every single month. And all that feeds into this algorithm. So we have the algorithm look at all of that, and we're like, hey, here's the input you have, here's the output we want. We want the top 10 guys.
Yeah.
Go look at all the data, and in a couple of seconds it spits back a list. Here's the top 10 guys.
Yeah.
Well, we ran the first test. Corey called 10 of them. I think 8 out of the 10 were like, yeah, I'm interested in the deal. And he was just like, oh my God, this is insane. He like walked out of the room, called over to me. He's like, guys, come check this out. This thing's crazy. Like,
yeah.
So it's not public. That stuff, it's still in beta.
Yeah.
We're still just testing it with teams. It's really expensive to run right now. But
like all tech,
in the next few quarters, this is going to be the main thing.
It'll roll out. It'll get cheaper, as all tech does.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, when I heard that too, I'm like, when I heard all the things that you guys were developing behind the scenes with the software, I was like, how do I get involved, financially? Not only am I using the product and that's going to make me a ton of money, which I'll talk about here later on in the episode, but just as an investor, and it's crazy what you guys are doing. But the main reason that I finally jumped on board after, hearing about it for a year, and then you had talked to me months back and I still was like, whatever, is because I've come to the realization too that in today's world, to scale a flipping business to $1 million a month, like you said, is pretty tough. We've had $1 million months, but to do it consistently requires a lot of marketing. It requires a lot of risk. It requires, capital, construction with all the people. And I've been content to flip, about 100 homes a year.
Yeah.
And I'm fine doing that. And that business will make, call it $3 to $5 million a year, just depending on how the market goes.
Yeah.
We got a nice little dog right here.
Going in business.
I was listening. I don't even know if a dog came with this Airbnb.
Yeah.
So
one of the amenities.
yeah, the amenities, a dog. But the second thing I realized was Well, if I got really good at sales and marketing, I could definitely spend more on marketing, which we are good. I just don't want to buy them all. Like, I don't want the risk or the headache.
So much risk.
Yeah, especially with just the way the world is. Who knows what happens
So much
ever.
cash tied up
Yep.
on such long cash conversion cycles. It's so hard to scale that way.
Yep, and so I came to the conclusion that, you know what, I want to scale that marketing and sales department, and I just want to go all in on wholesaling the majority, you know?
Super smart.
Go from, say, 100 flips to let's just do 200 wholesales, some flips when they make sense, some rentals. Maybe we do 300 deals a year, and like, that's a 8-figure company. Like, that will get you to $1 million plus a month consistently.
Absolutely. I think one of the things I always tell beginners when they get into this business is they don't understand that it's not a real estate game. If you're a wholesaling business, it's really, you're a marketing, sales, and tech company.
Yeah.
If you can just nail the marketing and sales and you back those processes with really good tech, you can just crush it.
Yeah.
Crush it with really small teams that are pumping out hundreds of thousands. We had a 19-year-old that just joined, 19 years old.
Yeah.
This guy's 19 years old. He's pumping $500,000 a month in assignment fees.
Well, and the funny
First when he said that, I was like, okay, well, can you prove it? He just emailed us the HUDs
Yeah.
showing exactly what his numbers were.
Well, and the funny thing was, he was supposed to golf with me.
Yeah, he scheduled a golf with you this Friday.
You told me, and I was like, dude, I'm in Dominican. He's like, oh, I'm going to Dominican, so
Yeah.
we'll just knock it out here.
Yeah, knock it out here. We got the best course in Caribbean right behind us.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet him. I mean, at
Yeah.
such a young age, killing it. But, you know, I thought about that whole side of marketing and sales, and I said, I'll scale that instead of trying to scale raising money and contractors, right? But also, too, the way that you scale that is by getting your dispositions better, selling it to these end buyers.
Yeah.
And that was something I hadn't really thought about when that plan happened. I said, yeah, you know, we got our core buyers, like, we're going to do well. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is a very dependent model on getting great buyers. And so it just so happened I had already decided to make this switch with the help of my friend Doug Hopkins and Darren Dame, who run my TV commercials, because they are doing $25 million a year right now. And I said, guys, let's revamp my business to emulate yours. Like, let's get it to over $1 million a month wholesale. And, you know, on top of that, I'm going to do something that I see all these other guys doing, but now I'm finally going to do it, which is get InvestorLift.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that we're going to be a 8-figure company now, just with predominant wholesale. I think I'm still going to cherry pick the rentals I want.
Yeah.
I think we're going to still flip luxury houses. I love doing those. They've been killing it for us. I still think we will flip, say, 50 to 60 homes a year. Like, that would be my goal. If I could flip 50 to 60, buy 50 rentals, wholesale 200, that's my business. That's what I want to do.
And that's what most of our clients will do, right? Because there's when you have that much lead volume coming through, sometimes you see something where you're like, for sure, like, I want this in my portfolio. Like, this is just so good. It's perfect. But it gives you the opportunity to be more selective, you know? So most companies on InvestorLift, you know, a lot of people presume they're like 100% wholesale, but like most do, a flip here, flip there, they do some rentals.
Yeah.
But you get way more scale and way better cash conversion cycles for sure.
Yeah. And
Being primarily wholesaler.
for anyone listening, I don't want you to think that flipping is bad by any means.
No.
You know, like, if you're going to do, say, 20, 30 deals a year and you've got the cash and you can wait, then yeah, flipping is going to maximize your return and it's fine.
Yeah.
But what InvestorLift has showed me is that there's a lot of deals that we flip that we could get the same amount wholesaling it, or pretty close to it, where it's like, yeah, dude, you know, I'd make 40 grand on this flip, but I can wholesale it for 30. Like,
Yeah,
let's
I
just
get
wholesale
a
it.
phone call once a week, probably from someone or a text message that's like, hey, I was thinking about taking down this property and flipping it. Would have made 35. I just sold an InvestorLift and made 32.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, why flip it?
You know?
Yeah.
Or sometimes even more, you know? It's crazy. Sometimes you make even more.
Yeah.
The interesting stat is, so we surveyed companies. Well, every time we jump on a sales call with a business, we always ask them one question. Well, 2 questions. You know, what's your average assignment fee and how many deals are you doing per month?
Yep.
Start off every call with that. The average assignment fee for someone that joins InvestorLift is less than $20,000. But if we look at stats for the entire network, that for the last 30 days, in the last 30 days, the average assignment fee was over 35,000. So the question is, how the hell do you go from 20 to 35,000? That's almost twice as much money per deal, right? It sounds insane. And the only thing we're doing is just introducing your deal to more buyers. More buyers means more offers. More offers means more money per deal. If you have the same deal, and on one side you have one buyer bidding on it, and then you have the exact same one, you got 5 guys making offers on it.
Yep.
Which one's going to make more money? How much more money are you going to make? So with more offers and more buyers, more eyeballs on each deal, it's just supply and demand. You drive up demand for anything, what happens?
Yep.
You did economics in college, you know.
Yep.
Just, price goes up, you make
price
more money.
Price is going to go up.
Yeah.
100%.
If you're listening to this podcast, then my guess is you're interested in real estate investing. Some of you are just starting out, while others are trying to scale their business to the next level. But the problem is, with so much information out there, most people don't know which program or coach to trust. Well, I'm a bit biased, but I believe my company, Future Flipper, can help you get to the next level. We've coached thousands of students from all over the world on how to build their real estate investing business. It doesn't matter whether you want to flip, wholesale, or buy rentals. Our coaching program has everything you need to become a great investor. There are many things that we include with coaching, but to give you a few examples, you're going to get an accountability coach. These are people that have had success in their own business, and they want to make sure that you achieve success in yours. We also have all of our documents, our systems, and processes that I've used to buy hundreds of homes. You can copy and paste them directly into your own business. And we have events where you get to meet me, top-level guest speakers, and other students who are crushing it. My students do deals with each other, and I personally do deals with them too. In fact, at a recent event, I just honored over 20 people in our program that made over $1 million in the last year. So if you want to grow your real estate business, head over to futureflipper.com and apply for a call with our team. The call is completely free, and they can help point you in the right direction whether you work with us or not. So go to futureflipper.com and book your call today. For the last year, the real estate market has been on absolute fire. Prices are at all-time highs, interest rates are at all-time lows, and there is more money in the economy than ever. But with so much competition, many investors are sitting on cash, struggling to find great deals. If this sounds like you, then you need to invest with Pineda Capital. With my network and social media following, we get access to the best real estate deals all over the country. And if you're an accredited investor, you can invest with me on those deals. In fact, last year we purchased a 334-unit apartment complex in Georgia for almost $20 million. We expect it to be worth well over $30 million when it's all said and done. Our goal with each deal is to build in so much equity from the beginning that we're able to refinance our investors' cash out and own the properties together with little to no money into the deal. And the best part is, you don't have to do anything. Our team will find the deals, handle the renovations, get them leased, and eventually refinanced or sold. All you have to do is provide the capital. So if you want exclusive access to our deals before they hit the public, go to pinedacapital.com to schedule a call. We can put your money to work today to start getting you great returns. So go to pinedacapital.com now to get access to our deals.
So, yeah, I just figured, man, with everything we have available to us now, this is the path for me, going forward. And I'm super excited about it. And I'm super excited about the tech and everything that you're developing. But, it's funny, when we first got on the call and you were pitching me on joining the board and all this stuff, you started to tell me your story about crypto.
Yeah.
And kind of like that whole endeavor. And you're like, yeah, dude, I want to go back into that space because that's where I believe the world's going. Which we all know that's where I believe the world's going too.
Absolutely.
So
I believe in crypto.
Tell everyone about your story of how, before InvestorLift got started, and why you even fell into InvestorLift.
Yeah, so it's funny. I started InvestorLift by accident. When I got out of college, I started working at a house flipping company. My thought was, I'll look at it as a master's degree. I didn't have money to go spend on like coaching and things like that. So I started cold calling CEOs and be like, hey, I'll come join your company for 3 years. After 3 years, I'll quit. I'm going to go start my own business. So I did 3 years at Espresso Mars, the Brad Chandler's team.
Yep.
We did really well, scaled them up very successfully. But then on my 3-year day hit, I was like, okay, I got to pull the trigger.
And by the way, when you joined, what were they doing? Tell them about that story.
They were flipping. I mean, the first year I joined, we were doing 60 flips at a time.
It's crazy.
But we almost drove the company into the ground because the cash conversion cycle and management to scale that rapidly on flips, it's almost impossible to survive.
Unless you just are a hedge fund.
Yeah.
You just got all the money in the world.
But as a small business owner, it's very difficult to pull that off. So we almost crushed the company, but then I told Brad outside, like, we got to start wholesaling. In fact, we should wholesale everything. We could do twice as many deals with the exact same leads that we have today. We can make almost as much money per deal, number two. But number three, we're going to shorten our cash conversion cycles. So the only two numbers that matter in this business, by the way, are what is the return on ad spend for every dollar we plug into marketing, how many do we get back, and what's your cash conversion cycle? How many days does it take us to do that? And I modeled it out where I was like, hey, in like 6 months, we could be doing $1 million a month.
So
And we made that pivot, and then that's exactly what we did.
yeah, so you got to $1 million a month after being a flipper. Essentially, you did what I'm planning to do, right?
Yeah.
I have 50, 60 flips going on right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
And
a lot of stress.
it's
A lot of
work.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of pressure on my team. I don't really look at it.
Yeah.
But so a concept that most investors don't think about is cash conversion cycle. Explain what that is.
So, in a business, you're investing resources to gain a return. Okay?
Right.
So, when I'm a business owner and I have money in the bank is not doing anything. I have to put that money to work, either by hiring people or, in the case of wholesaling or flipping, a lot of our budget goes towards marketing to generate leads that we can then turn into deals and take, send out $1, how many dollars we get back?
Right.
And how long does that take? So when we send out our soldiers, our dollar bills are our soldiers, when we send them out to war, how many days does it take before they come back with prisoners?
Yeah.
Because $1 we want to turn into 10.
Right.
The top InvestLift teams have 10x return on ad spend.
Wow.
Most top teams before InvestorLift are getting like 4 to 6x. Would be like pretty good.
That's
spend
where I'm
$1.
at.
Yeah. So that's return on ad spend, and then the cash conversion cycle is how quickly can we do that.
Wow.
We have one guy that is on the system right now. His top performing campaign on Google Ads right now is getting him 33x return on ad spend. His cash conversion cycle on is less than 40 days.
Crazy.
Not a hedge. The top hedge funds in the country are lucky if they get like 20% a year. That's considered insane. That's like way down. You'll level. You won't even take your money. 20% a year. We're talking like 33x in 40 days. It's the sexiest business in the entire world.
Right. Yeah. So for those of you listening, essentially it's how quickly do you get your cash back?
Yeah.
And you quantify your return that way.
Absolutely. If you analyze that, and you keep on cycling it back into marketing, upping your marketing budget, it's insane what you do.
Just quick numbers, if you made, say, $20,000 on your $20,000 and it took you 30 days to do it because it's wholesaling, right?
Yeah.
You made 100%.
In 30 days.
In 30 days. But you do that, 12 months, 12 times, you really made 1,200% on your cash. That's how it works. And flipping, like he's saying, with long-term cycles is that, flip might take 4 to 6 months, and you typically have to put up way more cash to do the flip, right? Now, granted, the flip does make money, and it's great, but, at the end of the day, you have to put it up there. Now, the reason I say that flipping is still okay in the right situation is because if you only do 2 deals a month, and your money just sits in the bank doing nothing, it's better off being used for something.
Absolutely.
So... tell me about, you get Brad up to $1 million a month. What happens after that? You quit after 3 years.
So, finished my deal, left after 3 years, but to be honest, I was a little burnt out from real estate. And my brother and I, we've been in like Bitcoin since like day one. Like, remember my brother was buying it on like sub $1. I was telling you last night, I used to trade on MT Gox. I had my life savings in Mount Gox before it went down. People were like, no way, you weren't that early. I'm like, I pull up my Gmail, I show them my trade history, from like 2012 or whatever. So I was always a firm believer in decentralized currencies because they solve so many of like the world's biggest problems. Look what's going on right now with inflation at the highest level since the 1970s, right? You don't get that with crypto. But then also beyond that, when Ethereum came out, then I got really jazzed because I'm like, we could decentralize applications. Like, this is a whole new game changer. So I actually, after I left Express, I actually started a company. It wasn't quite blockchain, but very, very similar. And what we were basically trying to do is build a new decentralized data layer for the World Wide Web.
Okay. So for those that probably just flew over like most people's head, but the best way to say this, because I've talked to many people who've tried to build the same thing. The big problem right now with the world, period, and the way the internet is built is that your data is not owned by you. It's owned by the
giant corporations,
websites, the Googles, the Facebooks, and this is how they all make money because they have your data, they go sell it to advertisers, and that's why you get fed ads that you're probably interested in. What Rob and other people want to do, and I believe it will happen some way, somehow here in the near future, is that when you go visit a website, your data does not stay there. You own your data. You get to take it with you wherever you go. So if you go to Google, cool, like you have your data and you can choose to like let them have it for that period you're there and then be fed ads and whatever. But the key is when that happens, you can now actually like make money on those ads.
It's people don't understand how valuable your data is. Forecasts out there are by 2024, the average American's data will be worth $7,200. So like you got 4 big data brokers that are making billions, hundreds of billions of dollars selling all of our data every single day.
Yep.
You get nothing for that. Imagine a world where you got paid like a few bucks a day by the companies that you allowed access to your data. You're like, hey, I like these certain companies. I will grant them access to my data, and they're going to pay you to have access. But there's maybe another set of companies who are like, no, zero access, lock them off. But you're making money, every month. But then the other really cool thing that happens when we shift to decentralized is you don't need login anymore.
Right.
10 years from now, maybe even 5 years from now, if we move really fast, when you buy a phone, you'll log in once. And then you'll never log in, never fill out a form, ever. Like, form submissions, go away. Remember your passwords, go away.
Yeah. No, and I know that will happen. And it sounds crazy to people right now, but it is going to happen, 100%. Because all it takes is a couple of people to finally do it, and then everyone else has to do it, or they'll be left in the dust.
And the company that pulls it off, they'll end up being bigger than Google.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So, you tried to start this company.
I tried, and I was very successful at first. So the founder of the World Wide Web, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, he ran a project at MIT. He found the World Wide Web, and what made it spread so fast, like what you're seeing with crypto and NFTs and anything that's decentralized. Remember, even like BitTorrent and like Napster, anything decentralized grows really fast. That's why InvestorLift is growing so fast. We're a decentralized network.
Yep.
So everything I do, I try to do decentralized. So he built the World Wide Web, was decentralized, so it just exploded across the world. Then after a few years, he realized, I screwed up. You know what he screwed up on?
Data.
Data layer. Data layer is centralized. Every company has a copy of your data. And so we started working on trying to fix it. And he worked on it for probably a decade, but the project was really complicated. Like only a data scientist could really work with like the open source version that he was developing at MIT. And so I called up the CEO of the project at the time, or the head engineer, and I said, his name was Andrew Sombra. I said, how are things going with the project? He's like, yeah, we're making some progress. I'm like, how long have you been working on it? He's like, 5, 6 years, whatever. I'm like, what do you think the project's going to be in 5 or 6 years? Yeah, hopefully we make some progress. I'm like, okay, here's the 10 reasons why this project's going nowhere, and here's the 10 ways we're going to fix it. And he's like, yes, you're exactly right. I've been saying this for years. And I said, what I want you to do is I want you to join my team and help me go create a commercially viable solution to this problem. The next day, he joined our team as our CTO of that company. And the problem we had is we had no money. Like, no money. I'm like, I need money. So I started doing a roadshow, went to go meet with all the Silicon Valley firms trying to raise capital. Without a product yet, we had kind of like a white paper that we'd filed patent pending on like the basic technologies. And we had vetted it. Like I showed it to the former head of the NSA. And I'm like, what do you think of this? He's one of the top cryptographic guys in the world. Mm-hmm. Like there were, some of the work he's done in cryptography is just incredible. He looked at it, he's like, holy crap, Robert. We always knew this was coming. We just didn't know when. But you have it. So we had vetted it, and we had basically created the prototype of how it was all going to work. And we started raising money because we need maybe $1 million minimum just to kind of get rolling.
Right.
And finally, we're meeting with this one VC, and they're like, we want to back this, we love it, but we want you to get there faster. So instead of giving you $1 million, we're going to give you $5 million at a $15 million valuation. Holy crap. I'm like 6 months into this, and I now have a $15 million term sheet valuing my business at $15 million.
Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't I start a business like
Yeah.
2-3 years ago? So I thought it was like, you know, the greatest thing ever. We're popping champagne bottles, like, signed term sheet, woo, you know, like, and then, you know, the deal was supposed to close a couple months later. In that time period, they had a falling out with their lending partner. And they're like, oh, no worries, we've got a new LP that is coming in, and we just need another 60 days. And meanwhile, we're like, we have no cash, and the little we do is just getting burnt away. Until finally, like, I got to the point where I had to make like a $20,000 payment the next day.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money. I was like negative $5,000 in my bank account.
Yep.
And all these guys were depending on me to get that money. So I was like, how am I going to go pay this bill and make sure everyone gets paid? I had a friend of mine who worked with me at Express, and he had been calling me like every couple months, like, can you please help me? He was not working on our business. Can you please help me? Like, our business, we need tech. We need you to like help us. Like, we're working really hard. We're not making a lot of money. We need someone like you to help fix our tech so we can actually scale. And I'd just been turning him down because I'm like, no, I'm focused on this other thing that's way bigger.
Yeah.
And finally I'm like, oh, I know how to get some money. I'm gonna go pitch him on a project. So I call him up, I'm like, hey Ray, you still need help? He's like, hell yes. I'm like, all right, let's meet tomorrow. Oh, I can't do tomorrow. No, it needs to be tomorrow. Let's meet. He's like, all right, let's do it. So I go on Microsoft Word and Photoshop, and I create all these mock-ups of what InvestorLift would be, the first version. Haven't even built the product yet. I go in and I pitch them on basically building the software, and I sell the first license to InvestorLift for $35,000 months before it was ever built.
Yep.
I took the money, paid everyone that needs to be paid, and then just started working on InvestorLift as a way to like
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Yeah.
Just kind of accidentally, and I had no idea it was going to take off the way it did.
Yeah. So, I mean, what happened from there, like, with InvestorLift? How long ago was this?
So this was probably like 24 months ago, maybe, or probably like rough estimate.
And by the way, for like as we continue the story, for everyone listening, and we can cut this out if I can't say it, but
Yeah.
you know, 24 months ago, you're talking about having negative money, and now you're talking about a company that's been valued at over 9 figures.
Yeah, deep 9 figures. Yeah, and we turned that down because we know where it's going. It's going bigger.
So that, for those listening, you can literally go from 0 to not just a millionaire in 2 years or a multimillionaire, but like literally 9 figures in 2 years if you just start the right thing.
Yeah, you just gotta have the right problem space and find a solution that can. Wealth is created by creating some sort of value and distributing that value to as many people as possible. That's fundamentally what we do. So what you want to do is find out what is the highest value problem that I can solve, and then once you've solved it, how do I get that solution
To the masses.
to the masses?
Yeah. And by the way, too, we didn't even mention this, but you went to Harvard, right?
I did. Funny story. I had. By the way, don't hold that against me. I'm like not the typical Harvard guy at all. I like never showed up for class, and still got good grades. But I get my dorm assignment, and the room I'm assigned is Kirkland H33, and I'm like, I know that dorm. You know how I knew that dorm? It's a very famous dorm.
You saw it in the social network?
It's Mark Zuckerberg's. And not only that, but he found it in 2004. I was in that dorm on the 10th year anniversary, 2014. We had a movie party that night. We showed the social network, we brought a projector and packed the room, and it was a lot of fun. So it was a super fun experience, but that also messes with your mind, right? Completely messes with your mind. You don't understand it. Going into Harvard, my dream was to make $100,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, nah, I just want to make 6 figures, and I could like buy a BMW. Like, my vision for what I wanted to do wasn't really that high.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a job on Wall Street. And then I get this dorm assignment. I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg like slept on this bed every night while creating Facebook. What the hell am I doing? Trying to like aim for 6 figures a year. So it pushed the mental model up. the goals that I had in my mind up, it leveled up my mental model to force me to go adopt higher mental models to go out and work on bigger stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. So, InvestorLift, you sell the first license. Like, how does it progress to 2 years to where it is today?
Yeah, so I brought in Dimitri, my co-founder. We had worked together previously, and he's like insane at a 188 IQ. Like, his mom was the head of the computer science department at a university.
Yeah.
And his dad was the head of the math department, and they like created this like brilliant engineer.
Right.
So I partnered up with him to build the first MVP. I'm like, I'll give you half the money, you give me half the money, and like, let's just get this thing done. And then we built it, we shipped it, and that company started taking off very quickly. Like within 6 months, they were doing 7 figures a month in assignment fees. I'm like, this is interesting. We're like 2 for 2 now on taking companies to 7 figures a month wholesaling. And I sold this product for $35,000 when it wasn't even built, and they're gonna have to wait like 4 or 6 months for it. I wonder what it's worth now. So I call up another company. I'm like, yeah, we should meet. I got some cool software. I worked with these other 2 companies, you know. Land a meeting, pitch them on InvestorLift. I'm like, let's see if I can get like 40, 45. Well, I'm like, if I'm gonna get that much, I got a really high anchor. So I asked for 95. That's a high anchor.
Yeah.
Like, let me see how much I could push him up. I knew he was gonna say it was crazy. We literally just built the product super basic. You like post a deal and submit an offer. That was like the core functionality. And sure enough, we closed the deal for 55. I'm like, damn. Okay, we installed it on the server. I'm like, I just made $55,000 selling a digital product where I didn't have to like invest any capital in delivery. Like, I just install it on the server, run a webinar and training session, and like that's it. And then that was another big mind shift where I was like, wow, digital is powerful, super powerful.
As the world starts to go more digital, you need to be aware of which businesses are going to thrive in the future. One of the obvious ones is e-commerce. In fact, last year, e-commerce sales did over $4 trillion globally, and it's continuing to grow. Now, if you're like most people, you probably don't have time to learn a whole new industry and start a new business. But there is another way. You could partner with us at Lunar Ecom. We have over 300 e-commerce stores that we have created and managed for our clients. And the best part is, it's completely passive on their end. The business model is very simple. You cover the cost of creating and running the store. We handle everything else. We pick the products, we handle fulfillment, returns, and customer satisfaction. After all that, we split profits at the end of the month. This means that when you win, we win. If you want to learn more about how it works, you can watch our case study at lunarecom.com. I believe that the e-commerce space is going to continue to explode as the world goes digital. So make sure you're with the right partner who's going to be ahead of those trends. So go schedule a call with my team today at lunarecom.com if you want to learn about how we can start taking your passive income to the moon. Most people want to get rich at all costs. They make sacrifices with their family, their health, and their faith, all in the pursuit of money without even realizing it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if you could grow your wealth in all areas of life? Well, it's possible, and that's why I created The Wealthy Way. It's a community of people striving to grow together in all areas. And we have multiple tools for you to use that are completely free. You can get access to the Wealthy Way Planner, where you can set goals and hold yourself accountable on a daily basis. We also have our Wealth Builder Academy, which is over 4 hours of content teaching you how to manage your time, create the right goals, and all the biggest secrets I've used to grow my life, not only in my net worth, but in all aspects. Lastly, we have our Discord community where thousands of wealth builders are all over the world encouraging one another and growing together. And once again, all of this is completely free. There are no upsells, there are no hidden catches. For me, this is a passion project and I want to build a community of like-minded people. So if you want to start living the wealthy way today, go to wealthyway.com. There you can get all the free resources like the course, planner, and Discord community. So go to wealthyway.com.
That's the realization I've had too, with what I've been creating digitally with e-com stores, with Tykes and NFTs, and even, education. I'm just like, dude, this is like so much more scalable and just like so instant.
You create such crazy amounts of wealth so fast.
Yeah.
Like my brother-in-law, he's in the tech space, and he started like 2-3 years before me, but his valuation is now not just like a billion, but in the deep billions. And like he started maybe like, I don't know, 3 years before me.
Yeah.
So like if you just, again, find the right problem, come up with a scalable solution to it, and then bring it to the market and get enough, let the market know about it, you're going to capture a lot of value really quickly.
Yeah. So this guy buys it. From there, just word of mouth starts spreading.
Yeah, so back then we used to actually install it on a physical server. It was not SaaS at all. And we were like, are we going to make this SaaS?
Yeah.
So we took that money and converted it into a SaaS product.
Yep.
And then I started calling up buddies and buddies and buddies. I'm like, I have this thing, it's pretty powerful. Like, I can give it to you, but it's going to be really expensive. And I started selling it for $10,000 a month. Like Tarek Al-Musi, Tarek and Christina from HGTV Flipper Flop. We moved to LA and met with him, and I did this deal, and I pitched him on InvestorLift. I'm like, it's $10,000 a month. His jaw almost hit the table. We were having dinner with him and Heather, and he's like, $10,000 a month? Like, this, I've never paid that much for software in my life. I'm like, but here's what it can do for you. I showed him numbers on companies that, stats on what we'd done in the past. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And so I was selling it for $10K a month. And it was completely secret.
Right.
My concept at that time was I'm going to have like this secret sauce software that no one's going to know about, and we're just going to have like a few guys that we know using it, and it'll be super expensive, but those guys will become the biggest wholesalers in the world, and we're going to be kind of like the secret in the background, like that's driving it all. But then the problem we ran into early last year is some of these guys like Nick Perry, Corey Geary, their businesses became really successful really fast using InvestorLift, and people started asking them, can you do a coaching course? And they come to me, they're like, Robert, we're launching our coaching courses, and we're teaching all this stuff. The problem we have is like, we run all our dispo on InvestorLift, but your product is so expensive, none of our students would ever be able to afford it. So we need you to come up with like a cheap version of it. And so I wasn't even sure if it was even going to sell, like cheap version. I wasn't even sure if it was going to be worth the investment or like, but they're like, dude, we're going to sell like $1 million in the first 30 days. And so I'm like, all right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'll do a pre-sale. We'll do a webinar. I'll do a pre-sale. We'll put it out there. If enough people sign up, then I'll spend a couple months and actually build like a cheaper version. If no one signs up, I'll just refund everyone's money and be done with it and keep it secret. We did the first webinar. Again, I was really low on cash. I think I was also negative back in back February last year. I remember looking at my bank balance. My brother-in-law had just broke 10 figures in January. And I'm looking at my bank balance and it's negative. I'm like, Robert, it's so expensive to build this stuff. I'm like, I gotta step it up. So I'm like, that was kind of the kick in the pants, like trying to like get it out there. So we ran the first webinar, and I was like, thinking maybe we'll do like 30, 35 grand. And I think on that first webinar, it was like 150 people. We did, I believe it was $144,000 in sales, in pre-orders in the first hour. And then the next like 30 days or so, we did 1.8 million before the product was even out.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is insane.
It was insane. Yeah.
So you use that basically to fund everything to this point.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, it was just me, Dimitri, Eliza, and Kirill, Ilya, and I think Alex might have been on. So like we were like 5 people or less at the time.
Yeah.
There's no customer support. There was nothing.
Yeah, you've been doing everything.
Yeah, it was just like small thing, and I'm like, well, now we need like a team. So we spent the next 60 days building a team.
Well, what's funny is, you brought me out here to kind of evaluate what you were doing. You've asked me questions.
Yeah.
You're like, you're CEO of InvestorLift. What's the first thing you're doing?
Yeah,
right?
And your answer was a good answer.
Yeah. I was like, bro, I've watched you the last 2 days, what you do, and you do a lot of stuff that you shouldn't.
I know.
Like, you're over here picking food in people's rooms.
I caught myself doing that.
I'm like watching you, and I'm like, what are we doing?
I got two or three items in, and I'm like, I do not need to have, like, you guys are more than capable to set the menu for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
I'm like, guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
We need to do something.
Well, we were golfing today, too, and you're like, dude, I got to go send a wire. And I was like, why are you sending wires?
Yeah.
Like, that's other people's jobs.
I'm like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Screenshot, text message.
It was done.
Yeah.
So, like, that's my big thing, is especially as you guys grow. Like you have to not do that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you get so used to it though as an entrepreneur. Like most people don't know this, but the whole front end of InvestorLift, the actual deal site, I wrote all of that. I coded all of it before I brought Dimitri in because I wasn't even sure if like
It was a thing.
my plan originally was to build the whole thing myself, you know. But I got through the front end. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm doing the back end.
Yeah.
But you get used to doing every role, being the engineer, being the marketer, the salesperson.
Yep.
And then you just you get into these habits, and
Yeah.
you got to break those habits if you want to take it to the next level. So
Yeah.
you got to keep on helping me.
I'm gonna
Keep
stay
on
on you,
riding me.
dude.
You see me doing
I just
small
watching
things.
you. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Oh, why are you sending wires?
Yeah. So, content, other things. But
Yeah.
no, man, I think just like getting to know you these past few days, it's just really been us hanging out. Like, it's really inspiring to see what you're doing. And like, I'm super excited to be a part, not only as an investor, as an affiliate, as, someone on the board, and, just seeing what we're going to do, not only with InvestorLift, but also beyond InvestorLift.
Yeah, like this is fundraising.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk, when he didn't go straight to like doing Tesla and launching rockets to go colonize Mars. You got to have you got to work on some problems that you like for sure can solve with high certainty. So he did like I can't remember the first. It was like white pages, kind of online.
Yeah, he did. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
But he rolled that money into PayPal.
Wrote on PayPal, exited
Yeah.
that, made a bunch, and then that was finally when you went after really big stuff. So some of
I think it was called like X.com or something.
X.com merged with PayPal.
Yeah.
But similarly, once InvestLift is kind of scaled up to where I want to get it, the
Yeah.
vision I want to achieve with it, then I'm circling back into blockchain. Because
Yeah.
that is the new internet. That's
Yeah.
going to, like, the opportunity size, the opportunity scale
Yeah.
is the same kind of scale. It's like, can you imagine if you got into the internet in the early 90s?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could be Apple, you could be Jeff Bezos, you could be...
Well, you mentioned the guy who created the World Wide Web, right? I didn't know this until recently, but like all the domain extensions, the .coms, the .ios, they're all owned by somebody.
Yeah, and I actually, that guy, I tried to get him on my board of advisors at my last company, almost got him. I had him advise
The
me.
.com guy?
Yeah, he sold that company for I don't know how many billions. Still to this day, it was the highest performing stock in the history, pretty much, of the world.
So I was actually eating dinner with the guy who owns .xyz because he's in a forum I'm a part of, and
Yeah.
he was the one who told me. He's like, yeah, people own. He's like, people own .com are making like $5 billion a year with like 80% margins. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
These guys net,
Yeah.
3-4 billion a year, and they don't have to do anything. .com doesn't need advertising.
Yeah.
It doesn't need anything. You just redo it.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
They'll chill on the yachts down
I was
the
like-
somewhere. You'll never...
I was like, dude, that's the best business ever. But to your point, crypto is that way, and the blockchain is that way. Like, there's going to be these such dumb opportunities there. If you can solve problems, which is what I'm trying to solve with Tykes and digital real estate, and you've been trying to solve with data and crypto. But, you're obviously seeing the rewards of solving the issue I've seen with wholesalers a long time. Of why is there not a public marketplace for deals?
Yeah.
Where's this, like, there needs to be a go-to spot where buyers know they can go search for deals and be fed deals, and wholesalers know that they need to be on that platform because it makes it super easy to send a deal. You're going to get instant offers from all these buyers, and you're going to get like, it's just, it solves such a big need that's how you create value.
100%. Yeah.
So I think it's great, and I know if you've made it this far in the podcast and you're not on InvestorLift, you definitely need to get on it. I know we have something special for the audience. What is my special?
Yeah, so we normally don't do this, but normally we don't do discounts, but we're going to do 10% off for everyone that subscribes with your code, Ryan Pineda.
Yep.
Okay. And what we're also going to do is if you register and use that code, Ryan Pineda, what we're going to do is when you log into your account, I'm going to give you 5,000 of my personal vetted buyers for my personal buyers list. Which that alone, if you use that right, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars just from that.
So what do they go to? InvestorLift.com, and then just go to sign up and use promo code Ryan Pineda?
Absolutely.
That's it.
That'll work.
So we'll link to that down in the description. But yeah, dude,
get.investorlift.com, get.investorlift.com.
get.investorlift.com. And then promo code Ryan Pineda.
Absolutely.
That's it. So, guys, it's something that I believe in. I mean, obviously, I've bought into the company. We use it. You guys know I don't really affiliate many products at all, if any, just because I don't. To me, I just don't really care. Like, I use a bunch of things, but none are like, man, I got to use this. You guys all need it.
Yeah.
But the reason I put my own money where my mouth is, and the reason we're talking about this, because I just truly believe it's going to make you guys a ton of money. So go check that out.
Absolutely.
And, dude, I think your story's super inspiring. I'm excited to see where it goes and where our relationship goes. But, yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show, dude.
Absolutely. It was great.
Thanks.
Can't wait. We're going to change the game.
We're going to change the game. So, guys, if you like this interview, make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.